meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. All members are present. We have the approval of the agenda. Is there any changes?
No.
Council have any? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the April 15th, 2026 regular meeting minutes. You all received them in your packet. Is there any changes or clarification needed within those minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 15th meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second? Second by Brad. Last minute. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries
I'll
5.
abstain. I was absent from that meeting.
Okay. 4 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. This brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council?
Are we going to discuss the road going past Montague Road today?
It's on the agenda, but it won't be open for public discussion.
Can we get open for public discussion now?
That's your
Yes,
time to
if
talk
you
now.
want to speak about that,
We just had some,
No,
I need
you're
you to come up to the microphone and
sorry.
name and address.
Janice Haskamp, 112 Morning View Road. I just have like some questions about that road going through because we haven't been told a lot about it. We have concerns about the woods it's going through, and also now have questions about the drainage of it since the road's going to be going uphill, if that's going to damage our yard. And I also have a question like, is my property going to be assessed and how much, if there's going to be money out of my pocket? I want to know. We were told that it's going to be an emergency road, only for emergency vehicles. So how are we going to ensure that there's not a lot of traffic going through there? Because we're a neighborhood, we have a lot of kids, we have a lot of people walking, and I just think we need more information on the plan for that road.
Okay. Basically, you know, it started out, normally in public, we don't answer questions, but I will at this point. It was labeled an emergency bypass road, but basically that's only because we wouldn't be doing it if it wouldn't be for the fire trucks and the ambulance and police department being able when the dam is being done. Eventually that road would be going in the future anyway, because we have property to the north and to the west of the state wildlife. And eventually that'll all be built up with houses, and we're going to need to have a traffic flow area. So
I'm just concerned because of the floodplain back there, because if it rains, is our yard going to flood out? Because are you guys planning on cutting down that hill to make it more level to get back there? Or how's that going to work?
we won't be going into the floodplain. We're going around it, so there shouldn't be anything that affects it.
But water runs downhill, so my concern is like, is all that water, like, if it's only a gravel road, is that gonna just all wash into like our backyards?
No. That's all part of the engineering plan, and we've got that covered, so. Okay?
And then I was wondering, are we gonna get assessed for that road too? Since, I mean, if it does become a through road, our road's only weighted for so many pounds, so obviously you're gonna have to upgrade the road past our house. So I would like how much is that gonna cost?
You're at a
us?
standard city road right now, 5 ton. And that's the road that would be going through there. It wouldn't be any semi-traffic or anything like that. Well,
And how are you gonna stop that traffic from going through that road?
you mean the trucks?
Yeah.
They won't know about it basically because it's gonna be way too hard for them to get through there.
I'm just concerned that people are gonna find that road and it's just gonna be a main bypass and there we're gonna be sitting there trying to get out of our driveways. I mean, we live there for a reason. It's just because we don't want a bunch of traffic going through our neighborhood.
Right.
You know, there's people that walk their kids every day.
And that's, yeah, understandable. But
And then
as
there's
far
also-
as the assessment, unless your property is part of that new road, you won't see an assessment.
And then what's the plan for the creek back there? Are you guys putting a bridge there or a culvert or what are you guys gonna do
Culvert.
for that?
For underneath the road, I'm sure there'll be culverts
Okay.
put in there. The engineers have covered all of that.
Is there any way that, are we gonna be informed about that or is that just privileged information?
No, none of it, it's all public information, but we haven't even got to that point yet.
Okay.
You know, we're still in the discussion stage on everything, so.
And is there a reason, because where is that gonna connect to? Is it gonna connect to like the city dump road or is it connecting to 71? Because we were
Yep.
told different stories. Everybody gets to tell the different story when they ask people. So, like my husband came up there and said it's gonna go around past the city dump and then somebody else came up and said it's gonna get connected to 71. So where is that road gonna come out at?
It will come out on First Street by the street department and the water treatment plant.
Okay.
And that's where it goes, so. That road won't be able to handle any heavy traffic other than what's on there now,
Okay. And
so.
is it planned on being tarred eventually or is it
Yeah.
just gonna be a gravel road?
Yep, so. Okay,
My name is Tim Larson, I live at 107 Morning View Road.
okay.
I would like a meeting specifically on this road project. I think a lot of my neighbors are kind of outraged by this. I also want to know what the city's plan is for the land that I own on the end of that road, where it currently sits. Are you planning to condemn it, or what's your plan on that?
I'm not certain where you're talking about condemning.
You didn't pull the maps? I own land that's on the end of that
Oh,
road.
yeah, we know, we won't be touching it.
You're gonna go around it, you're gonna put a little dip in the road? I know Vicki knows about it, cause she sent me an email asking me if she wanted to clean up the map when I
Okay.
bought that additional land.
Okay. Yeah, I recall
'Cause
something
I'm not
about that,
selling
but,
it to you guys, not for that road. It's gonna bring down my property value by probably $50,000 to $75,000,
right. Okay,
so.
all right.
Will the council set up a meeting so that myself and my neighbors can talk about this road project with you? Or set up a meeting where we can discuss options for it?
Basically, last week when we
Yeah.
had that public hearing.
Everybody received a mailing that was gonna be assessed. Everybody on that road did not receive a mailing.
Right,
So basically, unless you subscribe to the Sauk Center Herald or read it there or got it by word of mouth, you wouldn't know about that meeting. So how are we supposed to be representing our interest if we did not know about that meeting?
okay. We'll take it into consideration. I can't guarantee nothing. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council? Okay, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. We'll move on to reports and presentations, the 2025 audited financial report.
Does everybody have the audit presentation in front of you?
Yes.
So, I'm Becky Nielsen, I am the manager on your audit team for the city. Here to present your audit results, so just quick, oh, sorry, I'm short. So just quick agenda, I'm gonna go over introductions as to who your audit team was, go through some required communications, go through the audit results, and then your financial results. So the principal, if you look at slides 3, on your team is going to be Mary Reedy. So she's the one who does the overall review and takes responsibility for the audit. I am your manager on your audit team, and then we had Ellie, who was your engagement in charge, so she was the point person for all the communication with Vicki during the audit this year anyways. If you move to slide 4, so these are our required communications that we're required to communicate every year to you as part of auditing standards. So our responsibility as auditors is to provide an opinion on the fairness of the financial statements. We review internal controls. We have a risk-based audit approach, so that's saying that areas we identify to be higher risk, such as your revenues, that tends to be a riskier area for governments. We apply additional testing. So this year we confirmed your taxes with the counties, we confirmed your state revenues and your federal revenues. And then we identified no unusual transactions this year. Your significant accounting policies are going to be in Note 1 to the financial statements. That's the bigger bound document. Moving on to slide 5. So every year we review any estimates that are presented on the financial statements. We didn't identify any to have a higher degree of uncertainty for this year. We didn't identify any uncorrected misstatements this year, and there were no material misstatements for 2025. Slide 6. We found that the disclosures in the financial statements were adequate, clear, and complete. And then in your big bound documents, we'll have your supplementary information. Management is technically responsible for this information, and we need to include a report if it's issued separately. And then the other information is information that's provided, but we technically do not issue an audit opinion on that other information within your bound financial statements. There were no disagreements with management, and then there were no consultations with other accountants for 2025. No major issues discussed with management prior to the issuance of the audit. We had no difficulties encountered. Management was cooperative and helpful, and all the records were available. Jacqueline did a great job getting everything uploaded ahead of time before she was out, so we were able to perform our audit without any issues. For the group financial statements, so that's going to include the HRA and then the Sauk Center of Public Utilities. We just evaluate that information that we get regarding those financial statements, and we didn't find any issues that gave rise to concern about the quality of the auditor's work over those two separate entities. Moving on to slide 8. We issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements for 2025. So this is what we call a clean opinion on the financial statements. It's the highest level of assurance we can give as auditors. And with our testing, we identified 2 material weaknesses over your financial reporting. So this is just issues we find that we think need to be brought to your attention that could result in a material misstatement. And one of those is your segregation of duties, and then the other was controls over your financial reporting. So CLA prepares the financial statements, and they are not prepared internally. So both of these items are common for a city this size, recurring from the past couple of years. We didn't see any significant issues with these. And then as part of our testing, we went through the Office of the State Auditor's legal compliance questionnaires, and with those, we found no findings noted. Moving on to your financial results. So this first slide is showing your cash and investment balances over the past 5 years. So first off, if you look at the general fund, your cash decreased by about $684,000 from 2024 to 2025. Your all other governmental funds, that did increase significantly from 2024 to 2025 of about $2.6 million. Most of this was related to your unspent bond proceeds. So those 2025 bonds that were issued weren't fully spent at the end of the year, resulting in an increase in your cash and investment balances. Moving on to slide 11 with your fund balances. So your general fund is sitting at about $2.7 million at the end of 2025, which is an increase of $370,000 from a prior year. Your governmental funds is sitting at $20.5 million, which is an increase of $4.5 million from the prior year. So we took a look at your months of expenditures in the general fund, and then your unassigned fund balance, and we estimated there was about 6 months of expenditures sitting in fund balance at year end. And then the city's policy is to have 35 to 65% of those general fund operating expenditures in that unassigned fund balance at year end, and currently for 2025, the city is sitting at 48%, so within that policy. So slide 12, so this is showing the revenues across the city. So you'll see that your taxes increased this year, so a bit of that was from your levy increases, and then your sales tax collections also go within that amount, causing that increase from the prior year. Your special assessments increased with some prepayments on assessments in 2025. Your intergovernmental revenues also increased, and most of this increase was coming related to your airport grants, some federal and state grants that came in 2025. And then your other revenues had a big spike this year, and most of this is coming from the reimbursement from Sauk Center Public Utilities for their portion of the Birch and Pine project. So the city incurred those expenses, and then the PUC reimbursed the city for those. Moving on to slide 13. So this is your expenditures for all funds over the past 5 years. So you'll see overall your expenses increased by about $8.3 million from 2024 to 2025. And most of this was related to capital projects that happened in 2025. So your capital outlay increased mainly regarding the Birch and Pine, the reconstruction project, and then your airport project, and then the building improvement projects in the current year. All caused that big spike that you'll see in your capital outlay. Otherwise, overall, your general government, public safety, most of those little increases are related to your cost of living adjustments and your step increases and benefit increases in 2025. Moving on to slide 14. So this slide is specifically the general fund, which does include your sinking fund. So in 2025, revenues exceeded expenditures. Most of this was due to your interest income being higher than expected in 2025. Overall, your expenditures were less than what was budgeted for 2025. Both your revenues and expenses did increase from 2024. No significant changes in expenses other than those cost of living adjustments that I previously mentioned. The next slide is going to be your governmental funds. So those are going to be your remaining funds besides the general fund. So you'll note that the CIP repayment and then the author's addition repayment fund have a negative fund balance at year end. So those projects were funded by cash on hand during the current year. And that's just due to some balance sheet accounts that cause those funds to have negative fund balance. And those will be refunded through special assessment collections. And then you'll see that your local option sales tax at year end is sitting at about $3.7 million. There was a $500,000 transfer out in that fund to your capital projects for engineering costs. And then your bound financial statements do contain detailed schedules of all of these funds if you wanted to look in more detail on those funds. Your TIF funds at year end had a change in fund balance by $11,000. Revenues stayed pretty consistent with the prior year. But your expenses did decrease by about $85,000 within those funds, and most of that was for money paid out in 2024 for the South Industrial. project costs. And then overall, your capital projects expenditures did increase, or were at $9.6 million at the end of 2025. And then we identified your three largest projects as gonna be your airport hangar project. So we had, that slide says the author's edition, that should have been your airport hangar project. I apologize. We didn't update that, but that project was funded primarily by your state and federal grants for the airport hangar project. And then your Birch and Pine project, again, your biggest project going on in 2025, was funded by your special assessments and then some of those 2025 bond proceeds. And then your building improvement additions, those were also funded by bond proceeds. Then overall, your debt service fund at year end is sitting at about $6.8 million. There was a transfer of about $200,000 within that fund. It was made up of different transfers. One was to make those bond payments, and then another transfer was to close out your 2015B fund, as that bond was paid off in 2025. And then your Office of the State Auditor's reporting form is required to be submitted by June 30th, so I will work with Jacqueline and Vicki on making sure that gets submitted before that deadline, now that the audit is completed. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Questions? I know Heidi and Joe just went over the same thing. So, does anyone else in the council have any questions? I was glad to see that our reserve is 6-month balance now.
Yeah.
For years in there, it wasn't like
It-
3 and 4.
What was that?
The last few years, it's been less
Last few
than 6
years,
months.
it's been,
Last year was, so, we rounded up, I think it was 5.8 months
Okay.
in 2025, and last year was about 6.1 or 2, if I remember correctly. when we
Okay.
got the charts
Yeah.
detailed, so
so,
pretty consistent.
okay. Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
EDA report?
So the EDA met in regular session today at noon, and a couple items on their agenda. Mike from Hotel R&D, he is the principal of that company who we had hired to do the hotel and hospitality study, was in attendance and went over the study with the members of the EDA. We did make some recommended revisions. He's going to turn those around and get them back to us, and we should have them in the next couple of weeks that we'll be able to share with everybody. And the report, I think, was pretty favorable about indicating that the city of Sauk Center will support another hotel. And so that is good news, and we will use that document then as we go out and try to make that happen. Another discussion item they had, they're going to begin the discussions on the pricing structure for the Authors Edition Phase 2 lots, and that, of course, will be dependent on whether we do the project. We'll be opening the bids, on the 14th, so we'll know more then. We talked about TIF 1-14. They're going to recommend pausing a possible decertification pending a new tenant that would come in there. And if the new tenant is going to do the same kind of jobs and everything than the old tenant had, then we potentially can leave that TIF district active. And then also they had another offer, or the offer on the author's lot sale, and they have that recommended to you tonight. There is a caveat that I have to get back to him with a larger escrow deposit on the purchase agreement for the second lot, but we'll talk about that when we get to that part of the agenda. So that's all I have.
Questions? Concerns? Okay, hearing nothing, we'll move on to Park Board report.
The Park Board also met today at 5 o'clock. They had a very brief meeting. After the Public Works report, they did talk about, they had some unfinished business. They're looking at security cameras. Looking at potentially putting a permanent camera in the park, and then we also have that option of the portable camera. They just wanted to get estimates for both directions to see which way we want to go. Also, they updated on the community garden that the fence is pretty much installed now that we're going to put around the garden. We'll see how that goes, if that'll solve the issues that the people down there had in the last years. And also got an update on the archery range project. And we should have, by the next park board meeting, we'll have all our estimates in on what those costs would be. And also, they're looking at purchasing 2 new flagpoles, one for the campground, which we had, has been in the plans for some time, but we were waiting for the public utility to get the overhead power line out of the way, which has happened now, so we'll be able to get that flagpole up. Then we had a request for a second pole at the public landing, at the boat landing. And so they're looking at that as well, and maybe seek some funding opportunities or for some donations from some organizations to help make that one happen. So that's what the park board was going tonight.
Okay. Questions, concerns on that? Okay, then we'll move on to our action items. 7A, accept 2025 audited financial report.
That's just a very simple motion that I would like to request to accept that report as presented by Becca this evening.
Questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to accept the report.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7B, approve resolution 2026-34, ordering improvement 2027 Trunk Highway Phase 1.
So the council conducted their public hearing on April 29th on the Phase 1 Trunk Highway 71 project, which is expected to commence in 2027. Members of the public were given the opportunity to be heard. The next step is for the city council to order the improvement. Ordering the improvement is not final. It authorizes the city engineer to complete the plans and specs to get ready for bid, which is expected to occur like in December or January. As the plans progress, the council will be asked for discussion or direction on various aspects. One of them would be, for example, the road, or the bypass road tonight. So the city engineer will come back from time to time to get your input on those aspects. The next steps include ordering the improvement. Then we'll go into the design phase where all this will happen. Then they'll be approving the plans and specs. We'll go out for bidding. Then we commence the project. We'll have a public hearing on the assessments and adoption of those assessments, and then followed by project completion. So that's kind of the order that it will happen. If you order the improvement tonight, then there'll be some time before there'll be a second formal action unless there's direction on design throughout the process. So that's kind of where we are. What we're looking for tonight is Resolution 2026-34, ordering the improvement. That is in your packet. If you have any items that you want to bring up that you may have learned since the public hearing that you want to give direction to Keith, you can do that at this time or at a future meeting as we move forward.
Okay, what's the council's wishes?
Did we come up with that Second Street sidewalk? Is that just the north side, or are they doing it on both, since that is technically more of a parking area than the sidewalk?
So we can bring Keith up for that.
Not to put him on the spot or anything, but
This would be an opportunity for direction.
I think related to that, we were just talking, I think last time there was discussion about, last time being 5 years ago, discussion about the sidewalk. I don't think there was any actual action from the council at that point in time. So it's really up to you, whether you want to do that tonight or we think about it and we talk about those. There'll be various items that I'll be bringing back to you as we go through the design process. And certainly that will be one of them. Even just reaffirming the widths of the streets, Second Street in particular. We talked about further on east on the Second Street. We talked about a potential sidewalk connection on Birch. A couple different things that we discussed. 9.5 Street was a little, do we go all the way? There was a discussion about that other road around the corner and a couple things that came up. But so we'll be talking about a few of those things as we get into design. But you know, if we're prepared to give some direction on any of those things tonight, you certainly can. But I'm not asking for those things at this point in time. So,
Okay.
But it won't be too far down the line. So.
Okay,
appreciate it.
I got some comments in regards to Second Street. I think we probably have all looked at it and understand the fact that, we got one block there that needs to be addressed, obviously. And we also have a comprehensive plan. We have a lot of studies that talk about sidewalks and where they should go or shouldn't go. And, you know, the areas of these different streets. But my concern is, or my question to you would be is obviously there's width issues along there as well. And if you asked me, I would tell you that sidewalks on the south side would be a significant safety concern, just with all of the traffic in and out, constant in and out. Sidewalks on the north side make common sense. If you stood there, you looked, you watched, as long as it was up against the curb. And in order for the business to continue to operate, we really can't take away the road as what's there. I mean, meaning the curbs can't get narrower. The curbs gotta stay where they're at, the one on the north side. I think there was discussion about pulling it in 7 feet and then 15 feet and then back out again. And so as long as I understand in my mind that is the curb today planned to stay where it's at or not?
As long as we can get that sidewalk, assuming we want that on the north side in, which I believe the answer is yes to that we would keep it the way it is now. The street widens, you know, from as you go west to east through there, but we would keep it pretty much what is there now. And I understand the concerns about a walk on the south side. That's obviously a direction that the council can make as to if we don't want to do that. I personally would agree that a sidewalk to get from the east side to the west side, it would be advantageous. So your pedestrian traffic can move across and go from one place to the other. Otherwise, we have sidewalks on one block and the other block on the other side and nothing in between, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But, you know, I don't necessarily think it needs to be on both sides, but I think one side at least is for pedestrian travel ways through there. But, you know, I don't think we need to reduce the size of the street. I think we can keep it where it is as long as we can get a sidewalk in that provides also that pedestrian ways. Then I think we've solved, I think, the problems and the concerns that I'm hearing from different factions, you know.
Well, the business owners want to just focus on business and not have to worry about whether or not something's going to change, you know, at the next meeting or the meeting thereafter. So, I mean, I know you're going to bring more stuff back to us, but I think we got to listen to, you know, and take their concerns into consideration as well. So if that means some clarity tonight, then we should give it before we make the motion. But otherwise, I'm just sharing some of my thoughts. And we all kind of have a chance to go out and look, so.
As a council, if that's the direction you want to, if it's just that one thing tonight, that's great. It doesn't mean we won't come back with more, obviously, but certainly your prerogative to do that.
Yeah, my thought is that south side sidewalk, it shouldn't even be considered. I mean, you're going to basically have that little bit in front of the residents there, and then it goes into their parking, their ramps and stuff. That it doesn't make sense. Safety issue with people backing in and out. And when I back out of there, I'm watching, turning my head as many times as I can to make sure there's either not a vehicle coming, some of that. So if you got a pedestrian in there, you're just asking for trouble. So south side sidewalk on that block, the block to the east where the smoke shop is, it's kind of the same issue with the way that street and that parking is. I don't think the sidewalk belongs there either. So my thought is the sidewalk on the north side of Second would be the most prudent of the options. So south side, I think, needs to come out, in my opinion.
And those things, if you want to make those could be included in your motion tonight if you choose to move forward, and that, at least that's one topic that's kind of behind us, if you will.
Any other comments?
I think it's worth our time to also just take into consideration that road, you know, our bypass road, that we can't ignore, you know, what we can only imagine what's going to be there, but we have to take into consideration all aspects. So I think we'd be remiss not to consider that and have that discussion first.
Okay.
Additional conversation in regards to the road you're talking about.
Correct.
Agreed.
As far as Second Street, I know Vicky dug back and found all the discussion. I think everybody got the copy of that from her, of what was there. Obviously, when we got to making the decision, we pulled the whole project off. At that time, the road wasn't changing, it's still not gonna change. The width is staying the same, so it's gonna benefit them. the sidewalk on the south was eliminated, from what I understood,
Yeah, in
and
2022, the north was eliminated.
north was,
There wasn't a proposal for a south side sidewalk in 2022, it was the north side.
okay.
And so we removed it then, but the road was also going
It
to be
was
narrowed in that
discussed of
proposal.
possibly removing it, but we never took action, and we pulled the project before any action happened. I don't see how the sidewalk on the north side is gonna affect the business any.
No, it'll just affect Mark's house, because that'll be pretty steep
Right.
coming out of that step. I mean, it's a 5 foot, 4.5, 5 foot drop down, and it's gonna be literally over about 8 feet.
There's definitely gonna be some retaining wall work done.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, which we've done before in our birch and pine and stuff like that. So,
And if that's in the plans initially, we can always take it out as we go later too with that, as we do more
and the issue.
research and addressing that too.
Right. And the issue I got is, we haven't heard anything from Mark.
Yeah, I talked
only-
I've talked to
a
Mark,
little bit
but
about it, but
But, if you plant stuff in a right of way and put everything in a right of way, eventually it's a chance you're gonna take that it could get removed. So, I don't know if the council wants to have Keith line it up, but I would say we need to go with that north sidewalk.
it makes sense because the rest of that Second Street is all on that north side, and north side
Right.
only.
And even once you cross the street, it's on the north side.
Correct.
And that the curb on the north side would stay or in the area that it's currently at, right?
Yeah, the width of the street isn't gonna change from what it is now.
not in the design now.
Right. Right.
Alright.
We're not gonna narrow it up.
Is that, your current plan was no change to the curb?
Yeah, no real change to the curb, so just put that, I would ask that you just, assuming you decide to move forward, just include that in part of your motion.
Right.
So then, if I can ask another question?
Sure.
So then, Second Street, say we have that worked out, what do we do about the bypass road to be able to listen to the folks that are out there, potentially have that conversation? If we move forward with the plan as tonight, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do the plan,
Right,
correct?
right.
We're just gonna do the design, I want to be able to have the opportunity to hear what's the concerns greater than,
Yeah.
if possible.
Yeah.
At least us, our individuals will go out and meet, if nothing else.
You'd be authorizing us to do the design, that is a part of it, but with the understanding, let's say you want to have a public informational meeting specific about that, we can hold off on that portion of the design, so in case something changes, we're not doing a bunch of work for nothing.
Yeah.
So if that's your intentions, just make that known, and I'll just hold off on that for a while.
And I don't know, we have to have a public hearing or informational meeting. I just think we as individuals need a chance to go out and look at it, talk with them as well. And, I didn't get a chance, so I don't know if others want to. It's however, whatever you guys want, what you want to do.
One thing that could be done is we could actually stake center line through some of that, so people could actually walk down there and see where it's proposed to go, that kind of thing.
I think the
So-
main thing is if we go to ordering the improvement, then we'll get a better handle on what it's actually gonna look like, how we're gonna take care of the issues that they're concerned about. And rather than just sit here and grasp at straws and go, yeah, we're gonna take care of this and do this, and, no, we don't know yet. So, that's kind of what the council's gotta look at, so.
I have no problem doing the design, I just want to note that we do need to research,
Yeah.
talk about more about
We
it.
need a little more information on the table on it at that.
Yeah, I agree.
9.5 Street, if we're done with that. 9.5 Street, we had discussed whether or not we were gonna do that one or not.
I thought we
Going
pulled
down
that.
to that intersection.
Where am I?
Down,
I think the only
I
thing
don't know,
there was some discussion was kind of the extent going to the east. If we were going to go all the way to that sharp kind of bend at the end.
Private drive
There was some
is-
discussion whether it would stop at Pine. There was some discussion whether it stopped at whatever I can't think of the name of the street that goes into
to the apartment complexes, that kind of thing. So it's just kind of a matter of maybe the easterly extents.
All right, how far we were gonna go.
Yep.
Okay.
At the moment, the costs that you have go all the way to that far bend on the east side.
Right,
I
okay.
feel like we gave some sort of assurance to the homeowner at last meeting that we weren't going to extend anything
We were only gonna go up to the end of the curb.
by Beech Nut Court.
No, we'll be past there. According to what we told him, we were gonna stop where it takes the right going up to that, those, used to be the Catholic Charity Apartments.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's how far we were gonna
Last
stop.
house on the
got
right.
you.
Last place on the right, so. But we can work on that after we get, if the improvements and everybody, and then we'll have design and numbers and how it's gonna work and stuff like that. Okay? If there's any other discussion, otherwise I'll look for a motion to approve.
I just want to ask Vicky a question here real
Sure.
quick. On that, so Mr. Larson raised a concern with crossing his property or a bump out there with that. What are we looking at for a map? I'm looking at the aerial map. I don't see anything. It looks like we're clear, so do you
On
know anything
which
as far as?
property?
On Tim's, yeah.
There is a little point on the corner of his lot
Okay.
that sticks out as far as the curb in the existing pavement that we have there, existing curb. So he has a little point in his lot that comes out there because of a lot split that occurred 20 years ago.
Okay,
And so the road right where that tip comes out is not the full 66 width. We would have to stay like in the curb line. But I don't, that is actually, that triangle is actually where the road is already built. So we would be going on the end of that, which is beyond that, so.
Is this what
Okay.
she's?
okay. I'm just looking at the GIS. I didn't see a corner. That's why I was just
Yeah.
kind of
I
wondering,
have the
so.
survey, I can show you the survey, Joe, if you want to stop
Yeah,
up.
no, that's fine. I just
Okay.
wanted to see what we were touching on,
It'll
so.
angle it to the right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to approve Resolution 2026-34, ordering the improvement along with whatever we discussed on Second Street, that one block.
So moved. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, but you want to define the Second Street
Yeah,
stuff.
so sidewalk on the north, or removing the sidewalk on the south side, leaving the street width the same where the curb is on the north.
Okay. Everyone understand that? Do I
How
have a
far,
second?
how far on the south side are you talking? Like the entire south side? In the plan or just that block?
No, just the one on the west side of 71.
Okay, just on that section?
Because was that all the way down behind the church?
Because we
too?
had diagonal parking by Main Street Smoke Shop.
Oh, that's right, because we discussed that as well on the south side. by the smoke shop and-
Do I have a second? Before we do any more discussion?
I'll second it, but I want to clarify the motion.
No, that's fine. Once we get a motion, I can't
Yeah.
have discussion without,
I'll second the motion, but I think from my mind, that Scott's motion, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, please, is that we would move forward with the Second Street, well, the projects and sidewalks on the north side only for the block of Second Street from Oak to Main Street.
And then.
And then
to
also
Pine.
from Main to Pine as well, no sidewalks on the south side of the road.
right.
And sidewalks
Block
only
off.
on the north side. One block each way of Main Street.
Yes.
Okay.
And the street width stays as is with the curb on
North
the
side.
north side
Correct.
of,
Right.
yes, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask, so if we're gonna not do sidewalk on the south side of Oak to Main and Main to Birch, does it make sense to put sidewalk from Birch or Pine to Birch that just runs along that church side with no other south sidewalk?
I don't think it's proposed, is it proposed to be on both sides?
Yeah, it was
I
in the
think we did
plan.
discuss it.
It was in the plan, in the specs with it. So that's
Then-
why I'm like, that wouldn't make any sense either. So I just want to make sure that's addressed and either we amend the motion then to make sure that's out or, because it doesn't make sense to have a sidewalk for one block with no connections.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was on the south side, so.
It's not on the south side, it's on the north side from Main Street to Pine,
Yeah, but we're talking all the way down to,
but we're talking all the way down.
I didn't realize it's on the south side at that last block.
Yeah, the south side
with
is
the church parking lot.
by the
with
church
that.
parking lot, and that's
That's a
what we
pretty
were
steep
just.
hill too.
That's a steep hill, plus you're gonna, it's easier for on the north side.
100%.
So the amendment
Until
would
that
be,
Amend.
intersection,
so the amendment would be to be the north side all the way from the
Second
entire,
down to Birch,
Yep.
all the way down
Yep,
to it.
I'll amend it to that.
right? Okay, he amended his motion,
I'll second it.
you still second it?
Yep.
Okay, any more discussion?
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7C, approve resolution 2026-35, accepting quote for fueling system.
So the city council approved a joint project with Sauk Center Public Utilities to install a fueling system to be constructed at the Public Works Garage. The cost of installation to be shared 50-50 between the city and the utility. The city would then purchase fuel in bulk, and at the end of each month, we would bill the PUC for its usage, and we'd also allocate internally in the city. The PUC Commission has already approved this project. We did get quotes for both 500-gallon tanks and also 1,000-gallon tanks. They are laid out. We reached out to Frederick's Tire and Oil, O'Day, Dooley's, and Ron's for both the 500 and the 1,000-gallon tanks, and you have all of the bid prices there in front of you. Dooley's and Ron's both declined to submit a bid, but we did get bids from Frederick's and from O'Day. Ben is here to answer any questions if you have them. The system actually is electronic, so when they go in, they put in the number of the vehicle, and so that we know that if it's a fire department vehicle or an ambulance or a PUC vehicle, and it calculates out the gallons so that we will know exactly how much was spent on each department. And then we allocate it out. This gives us the opportunity then to buy fuel at a good price, to take advantage of the federal excise tax discount without having to go through too much of a rigmarole, and then move forward. But the PUC, I believe, already approved the project, so if the city council approves it, then we would get that in motion.
Size tanks that the PUC approved, 1,000?
We didn't, we just approved going 50%,
Okay,
50% of the cost.
gotcha.
Does that fueling system have separation for gas and diesel, since we'll be using both? Or how,
Yep,
Two
Two
separate
tanks.
okay.
like
So-
2 500-gallon tanks or 2,000-gallon tanks, or whichever.
Does this allow us to go out for bid for who provides the fuel for these as well?
We can go out for bids for who provides the fuel, yeah.
I mean, a 500-gallon tank with all of the equipment that we got certainly isn't
gonna
going
go
to
very
last
far.
long, is it? I mean, I would, thank you, I would assume
I
that.
agree.
Staying under 1,100, it keeps it simpler on the MPCA side of things for us.
Okay.
I was gonna say I'd recommend going with the 1,000 gallon, because I'm sure the
$4,600
payloader probably takes 110 gallons of diesel in itself. Well,
These are above-ground tanks too, by the way, they're not
Right.
underground.
so,
Do we have space for them, or we know where we're going with them and all
They'll
that?
be down close to where the salt shed is. We have to be kind of in that area when we're going uphill, because the other part's floodplain,
Yep,
so.
right, so.
okay.
Any other questions or concerns? What's the council's wishes?
I'll make a motion to go with the Frederick's Tire and Oil bid for a 1,000-gallon tank of $23,589.50.
Okay, we have a motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Last minute discussion. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7D, approve resolution 2026-36, authorizing quotes for senior center parking lot.
So the city had budgeted for repairs for the senior center parking lot for 2026, but then when we got up there on closer inspection, the condition just requires a full reclaim. It's all alligatored up, and chunks are coming out of it, and it's very soft to walk on it. You know, there's areas that are very soft. So we also had discussion that funds remaining in the building repair project fund could be allocated to the senior center, but that we would wait until the library windows were complete in case some unknown expenses came up. The library windows have been completed as budgeted and with the bid and with no extra expense there. So we do have those funds remaining in that building fund. If the city council deems the parking lot in need of reclamation and paving and wishes to get final costs, we should authorize that quotes be obtained. The budget for repairs was $20,000 that we had put in the senior center fund. A general estimate for repaving the whole thing is about $60,000. So it is an increase from what we had budgeted. So those difference in funds would come out of that building repair. Then remaining funds in the building project, would be $106,000. So that would supplement that. At the end of the year, when we're done with that fund, the monies remaining would be put into the debt service for that bond. So these funds are allocated to the arena, the city hall, the library, and the senior center. There's 4 project funds that we can spend this money on. So we can use it for the senior center, or the other option is just put it in the debt service. We can't prepay that, so it would just sit there, until 10 years when it's time to pay it off. So what I have in front of you is a resolution just authorizing us to formalize that solicitation and bring back quotes.
Okay, questions, concerns? I know that parking lot's falling apart pretty fast, and our seniors deserve something decent to walk on without having to worry about falling on their face because we don't fix it. So, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2026-36?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7E, approve Resolution 2026-37, authorizing bids for 2028 ambulance replacement.
So our policy of the ambulance department and the city rotates the city ambulances every 9 years. So the 2018 ambulance will be up for replacement. We're getting a little past each of the 9-year, now we're into like a 10-year thing simply because of the availability of the rigs. There is a 2-year delay in building, shipping, and receiving, so we need to place the order like 2 years in advance in order to get one of them. So Ambulance Director Zales, he's requesting approval to begin the process of soliciting those bids. We actually go to the state bid process, we go through EMSRB bidding process to try to get the best bid that we can. There just isn't a lot of places that build ambulances, so. What we're looking here is Resolution 2026-37, authorizing formal solicitation of bids for a 2028 ambulance.
Questions?
Funding comes from,
The ambulance department.
Pardon me?
funding comes from the ambulance, but
It's totally from ambulance revenues.
and that's been, are they been assigning funds for this for annually, putting money away?
They have a
How we-
capital improvement plan that they have budgeted for that, and then their cash balance is reserved for the future for that purpose.
So we currently have money set aside, and we currently plan to pay for it annually out of
Out of
their
cash,
operating.
yes.
Thank you.
Does that come out of this year's budget or when it's delivered?
It would get, well, typically we'll end up getting a chassis, and a lot of times we'll have to pay for the chassis first, and then we send it to get built. Depending on which place we get it, we have to pay for the chassis up front, other times we place it later. So 1 or 2 ways, we either have to pay for the chassis and then the ambulance in the end, or the whole thing in the end. So the cash will just sit in the ambulance fund until it's spent.
Any other questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2026-37?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7F, approve step advancement EMT.
So this is Ambulance Zales, or Director Zales has presented the following, and I quoted from his request. Effective May 15th, 2026, I would like to recommend Quint Swedenberg to be advanced from EMTB Level 3 to EMTB Level 4 for the Sauk Center Ambulance. This would be a pay increase in line with the city's current pay policy. Quint has been serving the Sauk Center community since May 15th, 2011. He has been an active member and contributing to staffing, both on-call and backup when available, and he also holds the role of training coordinator. So we're looking to approve the step advancement of Quint Swedenberg as presented.
Questions, concerns? Otherwise, I will look for a motion to approve the step advancement.
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7G, approve resolution 2026-38, authorizing execution of documents for lot sales.
So the EDA did receive a counteroffer on the sale of 3 lots in the Authors, which they reviewed today at today's meeting. The EDA is recommending that we move forward with the counteroffer with a little bit of a condition. Lot 3, that you will see on there with the arrow, he would purchase that outright at this time and pay for that lot and the special assessment. Lots 5 and 6, he would enter into a purchase agreement, but would not close on that for up to a year, because he would be, he's building other lots, and he's kind of building them and selling them. But then the one caveat is that that lot has extra fill on it, so he wants to utilize that extra fill to take that to lot 3 to fill that in. So he's borrowing from one to put on the other. The EDA did have some concerns of what if he takes the fill and then doesn't buy the lots, and so as a counter to that, we're gonna ask him for a little bit larger escrow payment or down payment with the purchase agreement, so that kind of ensure that he will follow through with the closing sometime in the next year as he's selling these lots. So what we're looking tonight is just for the council to authorize the execution of these documents, which is resolution 2026-38.
Questions? Concerns?
So it will be a non-refundable earnest deposit then
Yes,
on that?
the earnest money, yeah.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-38?
So moved.
Motion by Scott, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Move on to unfinished business, authors edition bids.
Just have a few items of unfinished business. The bid opening for Authors Phase 2 is on May 14th. I think I mentioned that earlier. Following that bid opening, the council will be considering the bid at the May 20th, 26 meeting. So we'll see on the 14th, which is just over a week away, how those bids are going to come in. There's no action tonight.
Okay. Any questions on that? Otherwise, we will move on to our special assessment policy.
So the policy committee have reviewed the special assessment policy for potential revisions. Those potential revisions include changes to how sidewalks and stormwater are assessed. So we'll have that at a future meeting, which would be an amendment to the special assessment policy. They also reviewed several communities regarding trends in assessing for public improvement projects, because there was a lot of talk about what is the direction of special assessments in the future. And so I think we got like 20 cities that we were reviewing, or 25 cities, and they're all over the board. So we have to make some short work of trying to consolidate that and see where we're going in that direction. This is something that'll come to the city council at a future meeting.
Okay. Any questions? Otherwise, we will move on to City Hall EFIS repair insurance claim.
So we budgeted in 2026 for repairs to the exterior of City Hall, specifically for the peeling EFIS on the south and west side of the building. If you notice, if you're looking around over the fire hall doors, that lighter colored band, it's EFIS, but it looks like stucco, and so the contractor that inspected the building for purpose of generating a bid told us that he sees hail damage all over the building. So then I submitted a hail claim, which was subsequently denied. So because that, he said it's more like deferred maintenance than it is hail. And so now we're gonna get back hold of him and say, okay, can you break out your bid a little bit more and say what's what? Because there's some things that maybe our staff can take care of and some things we need to get repaired. Then once we get with that, we'll come back. If you look, when you leave tonight or whenever it's daylight out and you go past there, you'll see that peeling. It seems to be happening mostly in the lighter color and not the darker color.
Especially.
But there's other areas of City Hall that needs repair to the EFIS to stop water intrusion. So we'll get a better bid and maybe take some things out and see what comes of it.
Okay. Any questions on that? Local sales tax.
So just a little bit of update. The House Tax Committee heard the proposal on April 22nd, so I was down there for that. And now we're waiting to go to the full House for a vote. Since that time, the Senate version passed out of committee to the full Senate floor in an upcoming vote. They're both now in the omnibus tax bill, which is a very huge bill, but I double checked to make sure we're in there. We are in there for an increase up to $15 million, which that's good. Now, this will be voted on prior to May 18th, we hope, because that is when they have to be done with all of their work. So if that passes, then the ballot question will be voted on in the general election in November. So we'll just see how it goes.
Okay. Any questions on that? Then we will move on to employee step advances.
So we have 3 employees that are going to advance to the next step of the pay scale according to the labor agreements with the unions. Preston Otterer will go to step 5 on May 1st, Austin Kowski, step 4 on June 1st, and Nathan Reynolds on to step 6 on June 15th. So these are some of our, I don't want to say newer employees, but they're still on the step scale, and that's the dates they will advance.
Questions about that? All right, we have no new business. We'll move on to our consent agenda. We'll have scheduled claims, unpaid claims of $207,421.47. We have resolution 2026-39 accepting contributions of $150.75 from the men's card playing group to be allocated to the senior center, $300 from Butch and Mary Moritz to be allocated to the fire department, and $200 from the Sauk River Watershed District to be allocated to the fire department. And on behalf of the city and the council, I want to thank those 3 groups or individuals for their contributions. We have gambling applications for exempt permit requests from the Sauk Center FFA alumni and supporters for a raffle on October 12th, 2026 at the Sauk Center High School. We also have a gambling application for exempt permit request from Holy Family School for a raffle on September 12th, 2026 at the Sauk Center Armory. And back to the unpaid claims, we had an updated and I missed it. Updated total is $207,531.47. We had one change in the claims. So, any questions about the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items.
Just a few things. The Middle Sauk Water Festival is coming up on St. Clair Lewis Park. It's our year to host it on May 14th. This is that 4th grade education with the area schools. They bring about 400 students and they learn about water quality and all the things that go into it. The second item is our hazardous waste and citywide cleanup. The hazardous waste is sponsored by Stearns County. That's where they come in and get all the paints and cleaners and that type of thing that you can dispose of for free. And then also we have the citywide cleanup, which are AA Recycling and Albany Recycling come in, and they take some no-charge items like snow blowers, lawnmowers, dishwashers, things like that. They also this year are going to do mattresses and box springs, and so there is a fee for those. And then they're also going to do tires. So this is our first year with doing tires and mattresses and box springs, so we'll see how that goes for them. And that is the 13th. Now that part is 10 to 2. The county's going to be here 10 to 5. And then the other item that I have, of course, is the charter lineup.
Okay. Any questions, concerns on those items? Not. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Brad. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.